Number 5. Welcome to Camp Nightmare. We start this one off with Billy and a bus full of kids arriving at Camp Nightmoon. We're introduced to a counselor, Larry, and head counselor, Uncle Al. Things seem odd immediately. After a snake bite, a creature attack, and drownings, Billy has had enough and decides to confront Uncle Al and Larry over the disappearances. Billy pulls the trigger on Uncle Al. Little does Billy know this is exactly what everyone wants. Billy passes the test, and his parents show up to explain why they put Billy through the test. This episode for me was always such a fun episode. It's a camp episode. What could go wrong? Everything for Billy. The tension slowly builds after each kid disappears. Uncle Al, Larry, and all the kids being so oblivious to what's going on. I really enjoy that. And I love it when the parents show up and then they finally reveal to Billy why they have him do this test. And it's to visit this dangerous planet called Earth. Number 4. Night of the Living Dummy 3. Slappy returns after Trina reads the incantation. Trina and her brother Daniel are joined by their cousin Zane, who will be staying with them. The siblings are always teasing Zane. This trip, Zane decides to turn the tables on them and set them up. Slappy sees it and enlists the help of all the dummies in the Odell estate, before converting Zane into a dummy too. Slappy then tries to have Rocky, a loyal dummy, betray his family, but Rocky shows his roots run deeper with the Odell family, and then a bolt of lightning hits Slappy and blows him up. This is easily the best episode, point blank period, featuring Slappy. I love that he's able to control the other dummies, and I also love that he turned Anakin into a dummy as well. We all already know he's Sidious's dummy. Anyway, that's a story for another time, from a galaxy far, far away. What a head turner this episode was. Number 3. The Haunted Mask 2. Steve wants a mask that is scary like Carly Beth's from last year. Carly refuses to show him where she got it from, but her mask exhumes itself from the grave and then takes over the old man at the shop. And the old man from the shop then shows Steve where to get the mask. Steve finds the mask and puts it on. Immediately, the mask begins to take grip on Steve. Chuck realizes this when Steve is acting strange. Chuck enlists the help of Carly Beth. Steve needs their help now more than ever, as the mask is rapidly aging him. The original mask wants Steve to bring him Carly Beth's head sculpt, the one that saved her in the Haunted Mask Part 1. Carly and Steve have to overcome the mask plan, and they do so together. And then they burn them bad boys. Continuity is key here, and I feel like this one keeps it true to the look and feel of the first one, down to the costumes. That just amps it up even more for me. The masks are cool, the new and old ones. Speaking of old, when Steve wears the mask and the mask ages him into a weak old man, the opposite effect of Carly Beth's mask, there's some dialogue with Steve and another kid that has me cracking up every time. Number 2. The Ghost Next Door. Hannah wakes up to smoke in her room, but then she realizes it was a dream. Hannah leaves her home in search of a shadow figure that has been stalking her. While chasing the figure, she bumps into Danny, a new kid in the neighborhood. Hannah's suspicions then arise about Danny. Hannah begins to investigate him. Hannah sees the ghost in Danny's basement and believes that Danny is the ghost. That is until Danny realizes that Hannah is actually the ghost. Her house burned. After Hannah finds out what the shadow figure intends to do with Danny, she makes it her mission to try to save Danny from the shadow figure, who is ultimately quote-unquote death in my opinion. Hannah does save him in the nick of time, and Hannah is reunited with her family. Now, this episode to me could easily be number 1. Maybe one day it will be. The first episode we see, we're led to believe that Danny is the ghost. We get that morbid reveal of Hannah and her family's death. I'd never seen this episode until my adult years, but damn what an impact it had on me. This episode is dark. It even has a chilling score throughout. It plays like a Final Destination movie, but it ends like Ghost. This one is a must-see in my opinion. Number 1. The Haunted Mask. Carly Beth is sick of being teased and tormented by Chuck and Steve. Carly's had enough and it's time to exact her revenge. Carly Beth finds the perfect mask at the shop's back room. Carly Beth takes the mask and runs after the shopkeeper warns her of the dangers. But Carly Beth doesn't listen, and on Halloween night, it is her night. The tormented becomes the tormentor, as Carly Beth won't stop until she's found Chuck and Steve. Carly finally finds them and scares them in a cemetery. Carly then buries the model of her head that her mom made for her. Carly and Sabrina, they get back home, and Carly Beth cannot get the mask off. Carly Beth panics, and she returns to the shop. The tall man gives her the backstory on the unloved ones. Carly Beth must break the curse with the symbol of love. The unloved ones chase her to the cemetery, where she digs up the model of the head that the unloved ones leave. And the mask releases itself from Carly Beth. On October 27, 1995, this one aired on primetime Fox to a Nielsen rating of 8.2, which means it was viewed in 7.9 million homes. My home was one of them. The Haunted Mask had it all for me as an 11-year-old. Laughs, scares, awesome effects. Carly Beth's costume is so cool. Even that little touch of that little red scarf, oh god, that is so cool, that fabric. It's so cool, it adds so much to that costume. I love the setting being Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday. This episode has always been a go-to for that reason. Once Carly Beth puts on the mask, I always watch with anticipation and joy. It isn't Halloween until I've watched this classic. If you haven't seen it, go out of your way to do so. I highly recommend it for all you horror lovers, young and old. Be sure to check out Goosebumps. This series is currently streaming on Netflix. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me your top 10 in the comments below. And a special thanks to Ted Kemper Studios. My next top 10 will be about the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Cowabunga, dude!